more. Child Protective Services would have been called on my grandmother immediately. You know, she would just leave the house for 4 and 5 hours, lock the damn door, and just put sandwiches on the freezer in the carport and be like, y'all, if you get hungry, there's sandwiches. If you get thirsty, there's hose water. Like, I'll be back in 5 hours. Don't kill each other. And me and my brother just standing there holding like rusted machetes, being like, oh, okay, we'll go chop down a tree or something. And usually I have to explain to city folk what hose water was, but based off of my cellular reception driving out here, I don't have to explain that to any of you. My hose water was always my favorite because every time we had like a rich kid come over, they didn't know what it was. Some kid named Tristan. It's like rednecks scared straight. Their parents would send them to my house to teach like what happens when you do drugs and drop out of school. And they'd come over and hang out at my house like to teach their rich kids a lesson. Like, if you don't go to law school, this is what can happen. You can end up like the Barhams over there. And so Tristan would come over to my house, and about 3 o'clock, we'd be running around outside for 4 or 5 hours. Tristan starts getting thirsty. House is locked up. We can't go in. I'm like, I'll let you be the first one to take a sip off the hose. Just cut that spigot on and put it right up to your face. Friends, I don't know if you've ever got the enjoyment of watching a rich kid scald their face at 3 p.m. off taking that first sip of hose water, but there is nothing more rewarding. You know, rural poverty, be damned. It was worth it to watch all those little rich kids get a taste of that scalding hot water sitting in that hose with that dead grasshopper and the minerals and vitamins just shooting all over that kid's face. Because then you get to pick it up after 15 seconds and it's just like a groundswell of just beautiful water, cold, ice cold, refreshing water. What's wrong, Tristan? Y'all don't have this where you're from in the city? Anyway, that's one of my favorite songs off the new record. 2 weeks ago, the record came out, and we played the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, and I played that song on the Grand Ole Opry. Got a standing ovation for that song. And I walked off stage, and Vince Gill's standing there, and Vince Gill's like, who wrote the song about the tomatoes? And I said, that was me. He's like, man, that's such a good song. And I panicked because I'm not good meeting famous people. So I said, thank you, Vince Gill. I didn't call him Vince because it's too informal. I didn't call him Mr. Gill because he's not a substitute teacher. I called him Vince Gill to his face. And the best part is I know it's not the first time because he didn't even respond to it. He's just used to being Vince Gill. And so he went on stage and he starts playing his set. We went on right before him on the Opry. And I'm standing there side stage watching him do, you know, he's just Vince Gill. He's incredible. And this lady bumps into me and I look to my left and it's fucking Amy Grant, his wife. Baby Amy Grant is sitting there watching her husband play music. And I'm just like, holy shit, that's Amy Grant. And she starts talking to me. She's like, are you the kid that wrote the tomato song? I said, yes, ma'am. I'm the tomato song kid, I guess. And she pulled out her Spotify and showed it to me. And she's like, I saved it on my Spotify so I could listen to it later. And of course, I didn't want to break traditions. I was like, thank you, Amy Grant. And so me and her are sitting there talking, and we're just like shooting the shit for 4 or 5 songs. And then Vince gets to the end of his set, and he closes the set with Go Rest High on That Mountain. And if you're as redneck as I am, every funeral you've been to for the last 40 years, that's the song you send your loved one to heaven with. They can't get into heaven unless that high, sweet, smoky tenor of Vince Gill sings them right through those gates. They played it at my grandma's funeral, my mama's funeral. It wasn't even the real cassette. It was like stolen. It was a dubbed cassette tape that they put in that damn funeral home. And he plays Go Rest High on That Mountain, and I just start crying. I lose it. Side stage at the Opry. And Amy Grant's over there just rubbing my back. She's like, it's okay, baby. Like, you're supposed to be here. Like, you got put in this one night to hear this song. This is exactly where you're supposed to be. And I'm just ugly crying. So Vince Gill walks off stage, and you can tell he's seen this a million times. He just walks up and hugs me from the other side. So here I am in like a Vince Gill, Amy Grant sandwich. I'm crying, being hugged, and my manager, who's a massive fan of both of them, is just standing off to the side with her phone out, videotaping the whole damn thing. And so that whole experience just made that song so much more to me. So I hope you enjoyed that song a little bit. I'm going to play you another new one. This is a song called Messy as a Magnolia. Y'all have magnolia trees here in Illinois, right? No? I don't have magnolias?
We do.
I'll explain to you. Magnolias are one of the most amazing things in the South. For 2 weeks out of the year, they're in bloom, and they're the epitome of the South. Like, it's just the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. A magnolia in bloom. There's a reason 1 million songs have been written about it. It's just, it lets you know that summer's almost here in May when those things start blooming. The other 50 weeks out of the year, it's the bane of my existence. If you have a magnolia tree or know someone that has one, it just shits in your yard for 50 weeks out of the year. Just leaves and cones and blooms. But for that 2 weeks out of the year, it's the most beautiful thing in your whole yard. But the other 50 weeks out of the year, I will never win Yard of the Month because of that fucking tree. And it sits right outside of my office window, and every morning I get up to write songs, and I have to look at this tree laughing at me as it just messes up my yard. And one day I started writing a song about it, just a song about how much I hate that magnolia tree. And I started seeing a lot of myself in that tree. And this is a song about thankful for the people that don't cut the damn thing down to experience the 2 weeks of the bloom every year. So, a song called Messy as a Magnolia. I was messy as a magnolia, blooming in the month of May. I'd set a match to a second chance, so fast it'd take your breath away. She ran into a house on fire to offer up some help. Saw something inside of me I still can't see in myself. Singing, honey, take my hand. What part of I ain't leaving, don't you understand? I meant every word I said when I gave you that ring. Honey, I'm gonna love you till the wheels fall off of this thing. There's a darkness deep down in my soul, a sickness I can't shake. It's been there since I can remember. I got it, honest is my last name. But you saw something worth saving. Help me sweat the fever out. Behind every good man's a better somebody who should have never stuck around. Singing, honey, take my hand. What part of I ain't leaving, don't you understand? I ain't the kind to quit when the going gets tough. I never ran from a fight. I'll sit right here if it takes all night. I meant every word I said when I gave you that ring. Honey, I'm gonna love you till the wheels fall off of this thing. Sometimes good people do horrible things. Sometimes those people need a reason to change. And so, honey, take my hand. What part of I ain't leaving, don't you understand? I ain't the kind to quit when the going gets tough. I never ran from a fight. I'll sit right here if it takes all night. I meant every word I said when I gave you that ring.